Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game. It's just finished. West Brom nil, West Ham nil. Gonzo, there's not much to talk about. This could be a quick review, but we'll go through it anyway. We started the same 11 as Monday night against Huddersfield. Initially, were you thinking that's the right thing?
Yeah, I don't think you can change a winning team, so I wasn't surprised at all to see that. And as we discussed in the preview, I think it was right, and Arnautovic started on the bench.
Yep. You had to skip forward until the 26th minute for the first shot on target, and that's after Antonio decided to run about 50 yards himself, shrug off 4 players himself, and shoot from outside the box. Then Obiang, well, this would have been a goal of the season. When it gone to Obiang, 40 yards out. I didn't know he had that in his locker.
I was just about to say, I didn't think he had it in him, but he didn't have it in him, did he, in the end? Because he missed, really. But it was a great effort, fantastic effort. The keeper didn't know what was going on. It seemed to give him some confidence because he tried something extravagant later, and it wasn't quite as brilliant, really.
And the only other highlight in the first half was James Maddison for West Brom. He should probably have done a lot better with a header. 8 yards out, free header, completely missed it. But 0-0 at half-time. Gonzo, what were you thinking at half-time? What were you thinking about the first half, and what were you thinking Bilic had to do for the second half?
I was just bored. It was really boring. It really, really was. I think when I was hoping he would change something in the second half. I don't know what he was going to change. I knew Arnautovic would come on in some part. I was hoping he would get Chicharito just more involved, regardless of whether you think he is central or he is too wide. Whatever you think he's doing, I just wanted him alongside Carroll, I think, and just more involved. And in the box more than he was. Just wasn't in the box very much. And I was hoping we might be able to do something to improve our passing, which I thought was awful for both teams, actually. Both teams, awful passing. It was a terrible game, really.
I thought the first half, from a manager's perspective, I thought we did okay. They had no chances. Joe Hart had nothing to do. So from Bilic's perspective, I'd be saying, this is fine. We're doing okay. But from a fan's perspective, it was boring. We needed something to happen. Too often, Collins, Reed, or Font had the ball, and they would just give it to each other. And none of them were willing to move. Font eventually started doing it. But Obiang and Chiati were both happy to sit in the middle of midfield and watch them passing about. And I just thought, I was frustrated. And the sub I would have liked literally could not happen, because Sam Bynum wasn't on the bench. I would have liked to have seen Bynum come on, Zabaleta go centre midfield, and one of the two centre midfielders come off, because I thought they were both poor in the first half. And I thought we were missing some of his responsibility, and I thought Zabaleta was the answer to that. He would get the ball, and he would start passing it about and stuff. Because people, in the first 2/3 of your half, they had all the time in the world, but we still couldn't make anything happen. But in the 46th minute, just a minute into the second half, probably the closest we went, a Font header, decent corner from Creswell finally. Font's header just wide at the back post. Then in the 56th minute, James Collins had to go off injured for Arnautovic. And if anyone's wondering what the uproar was, Chiati, well, this came after. Chiati tried to put the ball out, and West Brom kept it in and started an attack. But for that sub, Gonzo, Arnautovic came on for Collins. Right sub, personnel for personnel. Would you agree?
I do, yes. I don't think they changed the system right now, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's why they say this, for me, was the key moment. This is where Bilic had to get Collins off, Arnautovic on, and say, right, flat back 4, Arnautovic up, Hernandez up, 4-4-2. You two, Antonio and Arnautovic, you don't like tracking. We're just going to have to do it in order so we can get Hernandez up beside Carroll. 56 minutes, I think Bilic had to get a bit of balls and go for it, and I think he bottled it quite a bit there. 65 minutes in, the most exciting, maybe the most dramatic part of the game. The big man, little man combination, long ball up, Carroll flicked on, Hernandez knocks it past Ben Foster, 20 yards out, it's quite wide, he gets brought down, yellow card given. Gonzo, agree with a yellow card, if not, make your case for it being different.
Yes, it was a yellow card very, very quickly, purely because he would struggle to score from there. And as much as he had to hurdle the keeper, I don't think the keeper made a great amount of contact with him, so it wasn't a red.
Does that little incident there, show why we should be playing them two up front together? Because that's probably the first time they really got really close together and allowed the big man, little man combination come in.
I've wanted to see it for a while. Last season we were linked with Jermaine Defoe in the winter transfer window. When I wanted to see that, I want to see Andy Carroll and Jermaine Defoe, just because I like strike partnerships, and we're brought up with strike partnerships. Would love to see it more. Yeah, I mean, and it really could work if it was just given a chance.
In the 75th minute, another talking point, I suppose. Ayew come on for Hernandez, and then a few minutes later, Sacco came on for a pissed off looking Andy Carroll, and then it pattered out to be 0-0. I mean, have I missed any highlights? Or was it as boring as that?
I noticed something. So when the Hernandez and Ayew substitution happened, it was 74 minutes. And what happened is there was a little period of play, and Hernandez let the ball go out for a throw. He ducked down so as we could get the throw. At that point, he was stood right next to Bilic. Now, the fourth official had not held up the digital card yet. At that point, he had it in his hand. Bilic could have just said to him, he was this close to him, Bilic could have just said to him, oh, don't run off over there, Xavier. You're coming off now, mate. But Bilic waited for him to run around, and then the sign came. It was just a weird little thing. He waited for him to walk off for the fourth official to then call him back. But he took it really well, Hernandez, and a lot better than Andy Carroll did, certainly.
Time wasting Gonzo. I think that's what Bilic is.
Really?
But from Bilic's perspective, if you're happy with a point at the Hawthorns, which we have to assume he is,
and a clean sheet. Let's not forget.
Yeah. So in his way, he's just wasted another 30 seconds or so by letting Hernandez go out there. Then his sub comes out there. That's just how I imagine it anyway. It's just a time wasting exercise, really. But what's your thoughts then? I mean, are you a happy Hammer, or are you a not good enough Hammer, or a it'll do Hammer right now?
I'm a sort of beige Hammer, if you know what I mean. I'm not happy. I'm not entertained. I'm not angry. It's a point. We said in the preview, a point away from home is decent, particularly West Brom. They're spoilers. They're nasty. They're rubbish. But I thought we were spoilers and rubbish and nasty as well, actually. So I think it's hard to be elated after something like that. And there was a lot. Tone wrote on the forum, he said, I bet Allardyce is laughing about this. Allardyce, with long throws and long balls and respecting the point, and he didn't get his contract renewed because we were going for a more entertaining style of football. I think Thomas' point was he's probably ironically sort of laughing, thinking, well, hold on, look what you've got now. It was very Allardyce-esque about it. And so it's hard to be entertained when that's what you've got to watch. But, look, I'm sat under the stairs, you're sat home, people. The fans were so loud, the fans were so good. Talk about back the manager, back the team. The fans were firmly behind the team. So I don't like to hear all this stuff. Oh, just get behind everyone. That happens. So the fans are behind everyone. It's up to them to do something to entertain. But maybe Bilic doesn't have to. He's just trying. 2 clean sheets for Joe Hart is good for his confidence. So, it's not entertaining, is it?
No, I think defensively we were sound. I never felt troubled at all in that game. I didn't think they were going to score at all, except when they got a set piece. I thought, oh no. But apart from that, I thought we looked comfortable at the back again. But I think we have to be wary. We've played 2 weak attacks. Huddersfield and West Brom offered very little in both games. I think we'll have to bear that in mind. We're going to play Spurs next. I know we've got Bolton, but Spurs next. That's a completely different kettle of fish. But if you said to me, if you made me watch that and I didn't know about football as much, well, I don't really, and you said to me one of them is a Tony Pulis side, which one? I generally wouldn't have been able to tell you which one, and that's for me is the problem. Bilic, 56 minutes today, Bilic had to make a choice. He had to make a choice, and that's where he should have gone for it. And I think he would have got a lot of respect from the fans if he did. And if it ended up being 2-2 or something, people would have said, well, at least we went for it. But he just played it safe. The game powered out. And so I'm not sure it's enough, because if we lose against Spurs, we've now got 4 points in 6 games. Is that good enough for a manager? I think he's just heaping pressure on him if he doesn't get anything against Spurs. But is there anyone that impressed you out there tonight? 0-0.
No, and I must be honest, we're getting towards the end of the game, and I'm thinking we're going to do the show in 10 minutes, and Gio's going to ask me for a man of the match. And I was thinking, oh no, what am I going to say? And I don't know. Nobody did impress me. They really didn't. I liked Antonio's strength. Who couldn't? There was a time on the first half where Reed did a double block, which I thought was quite impressive. Obiang's thing was, his shot was decent enough. But there wasn't a lot to cheer about. The deliveries were awful. The set plays, Cresswell's set plays were awful. It was hard to pick, as you say, midfield dysfunctional. Yes, you would normally like to pick out a central defender or a goalkeeper, but as you say, West Brom's attack was toothless. They didn't have to defend manfully. It wasn't Joe Hart wasn't flinging himself all over the goal, pouring out chances all the time. So no, it's hard to be impressed with that. Maybe a collective defensive unit. You take something out of that, and it's a point.
I think it was full of 6 out of 10 performances, really. Nobody did bad. I thought Obi and Kiati were pretty boring, if you like. I think that's where I was looking for someone to do something in the middle of that part. Just do something, release one of the front three, give them a pass to feed off of and stuff. But they barely got on the ball. But are we now a one-man team? No Lanzini, no Partey.
Lanzini?
Yeah, no Lanzini, no Partey. Is that what it is now? Lanzini doesn't play. We play for the clean sheet and hope we nick something.
You know we are, because I've not spoken to you before we've linked up for this, so we've watched the game totally independently. I know how many times I thought of Lanzini during that game, and he just wasn't playing. And you would have thought of Lanzini loads of times. Every West Ham fan would have been looking at that thinking, crikey, we need somebody that can put their foot on the ball and actually do something. We missed a trick not getting cover for him. I think that was definitely something. Would he change the whole dynamic of the team if he came in? He would certainly help. He'd help a great deal, but I still think with Carroll in the team and Bilic having started so poorly, he's still going to look to play a certain way. There's got to be a way of playing Carroll and Chicharito as a front two and then Lanzini in the team somewhere. There has to be a way. In fact, it's Slav's job as a manager and a tactician, but it's his job to find a way to make that happen.
I think the only answer is Antonio going right wing back again. I do. I think people are saying start them up front together today, but then where do you put Antonio? I've seen someone say, well, you put him in midfield and play 3 centimeters. But you were complaining Antonio's out of position. You're complaining Hernandez out of position. But in order to put Hernandez into position, you're taking Antonio out of position. So I think in order to get Hernandez and Carroll up there with Lanzini in behind and keep this 3 at the back, I think the answer is Antonio goes right wing back and Zabaleta goes into the 3 at the back, which could work because Zabaleta would then be the person that comes out of the defence with the ball, which we were missing today. But
here's the problem. When you don't have a philosophy of style of play, which Bilic doesn't have, he seems to lurch from. So again, somebody said on the forum, he seems to find something that works, sticks with that for a while, then it gets found out, then he has to change to something else. And because he doesn't have a philosophy or a style of play, and if you had a philosophy and a style of play, you would be purchasing players with that in mind. So you wouldn't find yourself in this position where you've stumbled across a formation and in order to make it to work, one of your players has to play out of position. No, you'd be purchasing players like we discussed Swansea have done for years. And I mean, you said it with Klopp last season. You were saying he identified Mane, got him in because he was quick this season. He got the fella, Salah, similar thing. He knows what he wants to do, so he buys those players to fit his system. We don't do that, and it's because we don't have a philosophy.
Yeah, well, we'll just have to discuss it. I think he's going to have to change the formation for Spurs anyway. We'll discuss that later. But anything else you'd like to add on the game? I mean, the only thing I will add is we brought on 2 players who cost 25 million, 20 million. When they were coming on, Arnautovic, yes, to an extent, but when they were coming on, I thought, I'm not really that confident they're going to win us the game here. And that was a bit worrying that we were bringing on a 25 million and a 20 million pound player. And I would rather have seen the players that were on the pitch maybe stay on the pitch, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand. I felt the same. I do think there's a player there in Arnautovic, I really do. And Ayew clearly can sniff some goals and sniff some chances. I think what we really lack is pace, and it brought it home by looking at the highlights from the Newcastle game. Actually, at half time, I was watching the highlights of the Newcastle game, and that Atsu that they've got gives them real pace. We know that. We saw he ran a mock against us, didn't he? He stealed in at the far post and scored a goal. And I just think when you're struggling to create, as we were in that game against West Brom today, I thought we were crying out for pace, some real pace to get in behind and just change the tactics slightly, but then get at them. And we didn't have it. Although I do think the bench was strong in Sacco, Ayew and Arnautovic, but they weren't really going to trouble West Brom. He's like a giant, any the centre back. They weren't bothered by what we tried to throw at them, which was keeping everything in front of them and high balls. That's bread and butter to them.
Yeah, I think today, I think pace is okay. I think pace is more counter-attacking. Today, I don't think we lacked pace. I think we just lacked flair creativity, and someone gambling. Very rarely did anyone gamble, make that run, and did someone try and find that run. It was very, very vanilla out there today. Just get the job done, get the point, and get back to London, and we'll worry about it next week. But who was your man of match, Shane? You've got to pick someone.
Oh dear, I'm going to go with Antonio because he looked the most likely.
Yeah, he was the one I was thinking, but I'm actually going to give it to Font. I thought he played well again today. He wasn't troubled much, but he was also the only one that was, believe it or not, was willing to get forward in the first half. The only one that got the ball and thought, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to try and cross the ball because no one else is bloody doing it, so I'm going to try it. But lots of questions. That's why I always say, is this the worrying thing for you, Gonzo? There's more questions than answers again today for me.
You're right. He doesn't get any closer to a solution, does he? So that's what happens when you're scrapping and fighting for your job, which is what he does. It's all sticking plasters over the wound. He's not actually dealing with the cause.
Anyway, you guys at home, let us know what you thought. Who was your man of match? Are you happy with the point at the Hawthorns, or were you just a bit like us, just a bit bored, but you'll take a point? Or what did you think? Let us know in the comments below, man of match below. And we'll be back with our preview for the Bolton game probably tomorrow night. So stick around for that. So subscribe if you're new on the channel. Drop a like on the video. And until next time, we'll see you later. It was a point for West Ham, but glamorous it was not.